other side did that on purpose so they wouldn't hurt. You can pass that one down if. Thanks. There we go.
I want to thank you all very much for being here. This is a tremendous crowd to listen to a discussion about the future of our city. I want to especially thank the Paras Union for hosting this event, and nothing speaks more to just how rooted your union is in our community than the fact that you took the time to host this debate, not just for the concerns here in the schools and for your concerns, but for the concerns of the city as a whole. And I'm not surprised. I've had a long working relationship with the Paras going back from when I first started in the state legislature. When I first came in 2003, there was a problem going on in the school system where many Paras were being told that they weren't going to be able to be paid on a year-round basis like teachers are. And there needed to be special legislation to deal with that. So I introduced that legislation. That legislation caught fire, and a lot of legislators rallied around it, and we got that passed. That was an important thing, and I want to thank the Paras for bringing that to me, because I believe as a public servant in working for the benefit of the people in the community, and it was a real pleasure for me in my first year as a legislator to be able to do something like that helps people. You know, speaking of service in the community, it's very appropriate that we're holding this event here in the Terziak Lecture Hall, because the namesake for this hall, Tony Terziak, was somebody who was emblematic of somebody who rose above politics. He was a Republican, but I'll tell you, he was somebody who really represented the values that I shared up at the state capitol. And I served with him for 1 year, where we stood side by side advocating for important things for our community, like property tax reform, health care, working people's rights, including Paras, and education. Now, at the state capitol, I work on many issues that are important for me and our community, and I'm just as passionate as I ever was for that kind of work. There's a lot that still needs to be done. But there are many things that need to be done right here at home in New Britain, which is why I'm running for mayor. One of those, obviously, I feel that we need a mayor who has a passion for property tax reform. Now, most people in our community have seen a property tax increase recently. Now, we need to address that. I also believe that we need a mayor who is strongly supportive of education. We have the largest high school in the state, and we have overcrowded middle schools, and that's not something that we need to have. We could have been for years taking advantage of the state's interdistrict magnet school program to address that overcrowding, to create innovative and creative educational programs for our city's kids. You know, as a state legislator, I go to other legislators from other parts of the state, and I go to other public officials from other communities, and I tell them how many kids we put into one big high school. And their eyes bulge, their mouths drop, and they say, how could you do that to your city's kids? Now, by virtue of taking advantage of this creative program from the state, like other communities have, we could build new schools. If we're good at it, we can do it with little to no extra cost for our community. And that's something that I think we need to do. And as mayor, if you elect me, that is something that I will get done. Building schools is definitely in the prerogative of City Hall and of the mayor, and that's a priority I'm going to make when I'm mayor. Another thing that we need to change is the way we do budgeting in the city. We need to put aside the idea that there are separate spheres between City Hall and the school system when we're creating budgets. This is not to say that we need to try and push a takeover of the school system. This shouldn't be like that. We should work collaboratively between school board members, city council members, the mayor, members of the community. As mayor, I want to get people, all the parents, PTAs, PTOs, and parents all around our city involved in the decision making, talking about the priorities for our community. When we're creating a budget for our city, we should be looking at what is important. We should be comparing expenditures here in the school system, buying books, for example, with something going on in another part of the city government. These are discussions that we should be making as a community, talking about the priorities of our community and how best we can move forward. Education is incredibly important for our city's future. It's incredibly important for the children in our city's future. And I'm very happy that there are young people who are here to talk about this, because the future of our city is their future. And we need to make sure, the adults right now, we need to make sure that we are building something that's going to be a strong community for their future. Now, one of the more important things that I've been talking to people as I've been going door to door, and a couple of people tonight have said to me, hey, didn't I see you at my doorstep this year? The answer is yes. They've said, one of the things I'm trying to do is to inspire people to believe that things can be better in our community. There's so many people around our community who are losing hope, who are saying, we'll never get that back. We can do better. We can actually have hope that we can restore our economy, we can rebuild our neighborhoods, we can rebuild our education system so that we can actually, this generation, set a direction for the future so that future generations will look back on us, like so many other generations have been looked back on in our city, as people who set a right course for our community, people who were visionary, people who did the right things. We can do that. I'm not promising to be the be-all, end-all, cure-all mayor. What I am promising is that I want to work with all of you so that we together can build a brighter future for our city. Thank you very much. Let me take a moment to introduce the other members of our slate. Some of you you've met already. Juan Verdu is the Democratic candidate for tax collector. Very well respected in our community. Teresa, and we're always judged by whether we pronounce her name right. To be Teresa Sipiea Dianchek. How'd I do? Very good. We're joined by council member Adam Platosh, Alderwoman Sylvia Cruz. And we're also joined by Carlo Carlozzi, who is running for City Council for the first time, and Board of Education member Sharon Beloin Saavedra and Judy Greco. Oh, is Roy Centeno still here?
Yes, I am.
Yep, there he is. Alderman Roy Centeno. And running for City Council in the 1st Ward is Marie Lausch. And we are also joined by our Board of Assessment Appeals candidate, Todd Szabo. So thank you again very much. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate you once again for hosting this wonderful forum.
I'm certainly glad